There you go. Hey, everybody.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, everyone.
Good morning and welcome to the Weekend Habit hashtag Guru Chat. And today we are on episode 11. And we,
Woohoo!
I can't, until now, I still can't believe that we actually got this far, that
I
we are now
know.
the 11th episode. We started this, um, we still didn't really know how big it was gonna become, how long it
Mm-hmm.
was going to last. But I'm happy that we are now at episode 11, and today we're going to be discussing managing change for school.
Oh, that's going to
Yes,
be
I
an
know.
interesting and touchy topic.
Change management is always a touchy topic for everybody,
Mm-hmm.
and especially now in the pandemic. I know that every single school has had to face these changes and has had to
Mm-hmm.
face numerous changes in how they deliver their lessons, etc., and many other things, tackling technology. So we're going to be discussing all of that in this 1 hour. And if
Mm-hmm.
you would like to join us in our Twitter chat, just go ahead and use hashtag GuroChat. Okay, so I'm putting in the hashtag down below. And um, if you are a YouTube live fan, you can also watch us in YouTube as well. Just go to youtube.com/gtechguru/live, and you'll be able to watch us live there as well, or on
Mm-hmm.
Periscope and Twitter. Okay, so if you're watching on Facebook and you would like to share this to your teachers as well, and maybe your management team, please go ahead and do that. Maybe start a watch party, and we'll be happy to have you join the discussion. If you have any comments, answers to some of the questions that we have, please put it down in the comments. All right, so I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Mary Manzano, and I am the founder of GTech Guru as well as the co founder of Artstock PH. And right now, I'm here with Alfonso Mangubat at Teacher Forest on Twitter. Taffy.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. So I'm Alfonso, and I help Mary out in GTech Guru. I work as one of her trainers when she can't handle any more school. So she passes it on to me. And I love teaching about the technology. I love training teachers about using technology inside the classroom. And other than training teachers, I'm also a history teacher. So that's what I do on a full time basis. So it's a pleasure to have all of you this morning.
Yes, and if you miss this chat for today, don't worry because all of this is going to be recorded anyway, and you can still watch this on our Facebook channel or Facebook page as well as our YouTube channel. Okay, let me share my screen now so that you
Mm-hmm.
can all see because I do have an introduction slide here. Today we are missing two of our members, right? So we have
Aw.
Lisa, Requisa, but I think they're gonna be joining us next week because Lisa's really interested in the topic next week, as well as Riza Picho. So there, we miss you guys, and we hope to
Yep.
see you
I'm
again
tweeting it
next week.
right now.
Yeah, I know. I think they're
Or
there.
I'm
They're
tweeting
probably
it right now. Yeah, they're lurking.
they're probably lurking. So let's start.
Mm-hmm.
Introduce yourself, your school, and your location. We just did that, but if you could visit any
Mm-hmm.
place on Earth, where would you be right now?
And where would you want to be, Mary? I have a
I'd
couple
like to
of
be,
guesses.
yeah. I'd be in Sydney. I'd be enjoying the spring. You know that. It's
Mm-hmm.
springtime there now, and I heard that the weather is fantastic. And I really would like to be there. Well, I missed winter, and I'm definitely
Mm-hmm.
gonna miss everything, including the summer, because travel to Australia is not allowed right now. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, if I could visit a place on Earth that is not close to my heart, maybe I'd like to go to Machu Picchu. I'd like to go to Peru. Yeah.
Mm.
Because that was
Yeah.
a plan that I had by the end of this year or early next year that I wanted to go to. But of course, because of the
Mm-hmm.
pandemic, it's not going to happen. How about
Yeah.
you?
Oh, well, if you've been following me on Instagram, you would have known that I did a back-to-back Japan trip earlier
Yeah.
this year. And
Mm-hmm.
well, I've fallen in love with Japan ever since I visited it in 2017, and that's
Yeah.
where I proposed to my wife. So it's a really it's a country that's really dear and close to my heart. So I'd love to go back. In terms of like the countries, let's say if I haven't been to it yet, I'd probably go to Italy because I'd love to see the museums, the
Yeah.
architecture, the visit the countryside and have pizza. Pizza.
I agree. Like, Europe is definitely one of those places that we have got to visit when this whole thing is
Mm-hmm.
over.
Yeah.
Like, I know that because of the pandemic, there are so many things that we are not now able to do, like
Mm-hmm.
travel places, even here in the Philippines. So everybody, we are in the Philippines right now, and uh, it's great to be in the Philippines when you can travel the islands here, but
Mm-hmm.
when you're locked down into one place, it's not so great. It's
Yeah.
not so great because we know there are so many amazing places that we cannot go to. So yeah, right now is the time to actually go virtual and to start exploring Google Earth. Because if you haven't been exploring Google Earth, then I think now is the time to do that. There's so many good things that they've added to it now. Oh, you teach history, Laffy, probably like it.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
The yeah,
I haven't been using Google Earth so much, but I've been using Google Maps. So we've been talking about, like in class, we've been talking um, about the German expansion in Europe. So I've had to use Google Maps from time to time just to illustrate the movement of German troops across Europe and the implications of that. So I just love um, that in this online setup I have those tools right on the screen, which is I realize I should have been doing ever since.
yeah. Actually, if you're
Mhm.
using, are you using Google Maps or are you using Google My Maps for this?
Just Google Maps so far. I haven't explored Google My Maps yet.
You're gonna love it. Like all the history teachers I know that have tried it tell me that it's amazing
Hmm.
because you're looking at I try to do that because one of the exams that I remember doing when I was in high school was the exam
Hmm.
was like you said illustrating the movement of the World War and
Hmm.
where the World War II started, where it started, the first invasion, up to the time that it ended. So the questions were laid out on. Of course, it was a physical paper map. You have to understand that was 1993 or 1992. That's how old I am. And that time, that was the only thing that was available. So you've got a map, and you have questions like down below where you can put in
Hmm.
certain dates based on the pins. And Google My Maps is actually able to do that so much better, more colorful with embedded videos and images. And also, you can put in like areas. You can put in areas where you want to put the questions in. That's really an amazing thing. And I also know some teachers are using it for their amazing race and for their what do you call that? Their treasure hunt. You know,
Ooh,
the
yeah.
scavenger
Digital
hunt.
breakout room. Oh yeah, it's
Yeah,
scavenger
yeah,
hunt.
scavenger hunts. Yes. So if you're gonna do a scavenger
Hmm.
hunt, it's good to use My Maps for that. So for those of you who have not
Okay.
tried it, head on to your Google Drive and click on your a new
My
button, and
maps.
you can put in create your own map. Personally, I like My
Hmm.
Maps because it allows me to make my own travel map. Because, like I said, if I could
Oh.
visit, so I put in like pins where I've been and pins where
Hmm.
I want to, pins where I want to go to, like pin depending on the color of the pin, that's where I've been and
Hmm.
that's where I still kind of go to. So
Oh.
yeah, you can use it many different
Hmm.
ways. Right. So
Yeah.
uh, later, I do have my first question up. So today we are discussing managing change in schools, and because we have so much change that we are going through right now, uh, schools have actually, we've heard so many um,
Success
complaints
stories and
and
horror
success,
stories.
yeah, horror stories as well as success stories from teachers like all over the world on what's been
Mhm.
happening. So, what do you think schools should watch out for when transitioning towards a new tech platform or process? And for those of you watching, please don't be a stranger. Just give us your
Tweet your
opinion.
answers or
Yeah,
comments in the
answers and
comment
comments.
box. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I've had the wonderful pleasure of leading my teachers in the first online program of the school. And after that whole 3 weeks, which we just dove into, we didn't really think about it after, but upon reflection, it's like, we should have focused more on teacher readiness and also teacher well-being. And well, part and parcel to that is student well-being already.
Mhm.
Um, since I knew for a fact that my teachers were very techy. They've been using technology for quite some time. My students as well. So it wasn't going to be a problem. But what we didn't realize was that the burnout or the fatigue coming from having to sit in front of in front of your computer for 1.5 hours is actually quite tiring. Um, and if we treat it like a normal day, then it's going to be really burdensome for a lot of teachers. That's why
True.
we have to think about like days when we could just unplug. I know that there's this whole argument about how about content, how about the standards, if we keep on giving out these breaks in between. But I guess it's really important since at least when in the physical world, the moment you're outside of your classroom and back in the faculty room, you're technically unplugged. You can space out your day, but here the lines are just really blurred, and it's something that needs to be considered.
I agree. I really feel that schools should understand teacher well-being a lot more, and they
Mm-hmm.
really should be watching out for that because that fatigue can set in really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And I think another thing, though, for me is culture, I guess, because it depends on the school culture. One of the things that I've been trying to do for the last few years is trying to cultivate a culture of innovation and a little bit more strength when it comes to facing new challenges
Mm-hmm.
and giving teachers a lot more agency. And this is the reason for that is because you know us, Laffy, we are both edtech
Mm-hmm.
enthusiasts. So pushing people instead of pushing people into using new technology, encouraging them instead to use these
Mm-hmm.
technologies and having them understand where it actually fits into how they teach would be a really good thing. Like you said,
Yeah.
teacher readiness is
Mm-hmm.
one of those things that a lot of schools may have overlooked. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and another thing that I'd like you guys to watch out for is to taking a look at technology as a solution. Do not. It's it's not the path, to the greatest success. As much
Yeah.
as possible, do not
You
try to
can.
go
Yeah. Go
ahead.
ahead, Mary.
No, I mean what I'm saying is like a lot of schools when they say, okay, I'm going to purchase the following tools or
Mm-hmm.
technology, um, that is going to solve things. It is not going to lead
Yep.
to more advanced and more permanent uh, learning. It's
Mm-hmm.
not. It's not going to
Mm-hmm.
remediate anything.
Yeah.
Technology is just a tool, and you really have to treat it as such. That's
Mm-hmm.
my that's my take on that. So schools have to watch
Mm-hmm.
out for that. Like if you have, especially now, like there's so many vendors, so many suppliers that are taking advantage.
I've had a lot of emails recently just asking me to consider their learning management system. as you know, I'm a program coordinator, so I get all of these emails, and I'm like, no, I'm not interested. I'm sorry, and I don't have the budget for it either.
I agree, but then some schools do have the budget, and
Mhm.
you have the budget to tackle new technology. Consider your teachers first. Consider
Yeah.
um, if that tool is really going to help them, or is it just going to add to the burden of
Hmm.
learning a new tool in order
Hmm.
to get something done that they can already do in the first place. So
Exactly.
that's there. So my next question is not yet up on Twitter, but I'm going to put it up here already. Because I know that we have a lot of things to talk about when it comes to this. If you
Hmm.
were the head of your school, what strategies would you employ to ensure that transitioning is smooth?
Ooh, that's an interesting topic.
I know.
um, yeah, yeah, you've heard about me talk talk a lot about this and all of my gripes. But if I were the head of school, I definitely look to the people who've experienced it. It may have been a flawed, I'm speaking from experience, by the way. It may have been a flawed program, but it's still a program that needs to be considered and talked about.
Mhm.
At the same time, the insights and also experiences of the teachers, not just from me, because for me, I'm technically biased because you know that I'm an ed tech coach, an Apple Distinguished Educator, Google trainer. So I know all of these things and it comes naturally for me. But then for those teachers who did the online program, that's something that you need to talk to them about. Like what could have we what could we do or what could have we changed um, so that the program could have been better. What were the insights that were coming here? How can we design this? It has
Yeah,
to be a collaborative approach. You can't just drop it onto the person whom you think is like the best in ed tech and then expect them to come up with a program. It's a collaborative effort, and
I
I
agree.
wish, I hope that schools would really think about that because we coordinators were in the office, or a majority of school leaders are in the office. They're not in the trenches. It's the
Mhm.
people in the trenches whom you have to talk to because they're
Yeah,
the ones with the most who will have to do a lot of things just to meet those demands and also all of those requirements.
that's true. I see that it's a usual dilemma for schools that not just schools but in change management in general, that when you're planning your change management strategy, going from one place to another, and in this case we're talking about schools, so going from a face-to-face learning environment to an online learning environment, the normal pitfall that we see is that heads of schools do not really consider how it is like to go a day in the life of the teacher. So
Mhm.
I really would like to get onto that. Like, if you're going to be planning a strategy moving forward, you need to make sure that you understand a day in the life of the person that's going to be the most impacted or the most affected by this change. And it's going to be your teachers and your students are going to be the most impacted by this
Mhm.
change. So you need to make sure that you have a strategy for that. So one thing that you can employ is first, of course, listen to them, have a hopes and fears survey, communicate because they may have ideas that you have not thought of, and that's the nice thing
Mhm.
about working together, like you said, Laffy, collaborative
Yeah.
planning,
Mhm.
right? Is
Mhm.
really good because it pulls people's ideas together, and you
Yeah,
can they can choose which are the best ideas that would work for the entire team. Yeah. So
definitely.
yeah,
Plus, again, I'm biased. I have this tendency to just view, oh, that's going to be easy. Oh, I know how to do this in a tech platform. But
yeah,
how about for the teachers who just handle tech every now and then? They'll
yeah,
probably have even more insights into this whole program that I didn't even think about, or because I take these things for granted, I didn't even consider. But
mhm,
with them, they have a whole trove of information, and it really pays to listen to these teachers, because they're the ones who will really build up that program.
Yeah. And another strategy that I'd like you guys to employ is that if you have any learning that you need to do, don't pool your professional development into one place. And what happens normally is schools pool these new things into in service uh,
Mm-hmm.
sessions before the school year starts. And as it stands, we already have so much to deal with. Um,
Mm-hmm.
do we even have equipment? Do we have internet access? All of these
Yeah.
other peripheral concerns, right, that we need to deal with, and then pull that with the rest of the learning that you need to do, it becomes really unmanageable at some point. So
Mm-hmm.
another strategy that you can employ is to stretch it out throughout the
Mm-hmm.
year. And what
Mm-hmm.
happens is your teachers, your students even could get a lot more excited about new things, about learning something new for the month or something like that, or for the week. It really depends on your frequency. But stretch out your professional development so that you can
Mm-hmm.
establish a culture of learning within the
Yeah.
school, right? Because once you just pull it into the beginning of the year, people would
They'll
think,
forget it. Yeah.
oh, well, we're done. All right, tapos na. We're
Mm-hmm.
good. We don't have to
I'd
deal with
love
it.
to do I'd love to do some coaching sessions with some of the teachers. Like early last June, I did some coaching sessions with some of our art teachers and perform our visual arts and performing arts teachers. I did a run through with them on G Suite, and like right now it's been 2 months, 3 months since that last training. So it got me thinking, how are they? Is it is the rollout effective? Are they using some of the tools that I taught them or demonstrated to them? So I'd love to do that and see how it's going out for them or turning out for them, so to speak.
That's true. That's the reason why when you have a change management plan, it has to be not a big change that's gonna happen in a one go. That's gonna be implemented in one go. You go
Hmm.
live and that's it. you know,
Yeah.
it has to be a full on. When you say a change, it's a plan. It's a change
Hmm.
management plan that's going to have to be rolled out in a space of time that allows for learning. Although we did discuss technological fluency before, there are things that you need to learn before you even start with online learning. Yes, you need to address that. But for the newer things, for enhancing it, for moving beyond substitution, for moving towards redefinition, when adopting technology, you cannot do that in one or two sessions. You cannot do that in your in service only. It has to
Hmm.
be a stretched out affair.
Hmm.
Right. So let's take a look at our Q3. I'm going to be posting that in like 2 minutes. So, what factors affect transformation the most in your school? This differs depending on school. So, in
Yeah.
your school, what factors affect transformation the most?
Oh, I haven't actually had the time to think about that. Like, what factors affect transformation? Definitely teacher readiness, student readiness, the resources that we have. Suddenly, um, let's say you're a literacy teacher and um, you've been teaching about literary forms and all of these things for the longest time with a physical book, and then suddenly you don't have that book anymore. And short of, I don't advocate it, but sometimes there are teachers who pirate books just so that they could send it out because buying books is cost prohibitive. So
Yeah.
makes you wonder also, like for schools, did they transition their learning resources into an online, like providing subscriptions to, let's say, EBSCO or even some research database as well, since the library is closed and
Mhm.
Wikipedia can only get you so far. And then
True.
rethinking about the textbooks. Are there ways that we can do away with the textbook or um, transform it into something that's interactive? So yeah, resources was one way that affected a lot of schools because suddenly needed to migrate all of this digitally.
Yeah, that's right. For me, a great factor is something that I just mentioned a while ago. It's your culture affects transformation the most in your school. If the culture is that everything is top down, like
Hmm.
management will implement, teachers have no
Hmm.
choice but to follow.
Yeah.
It
Hmm.
usually meets a lot of resistance, or the entire plan hinges on teachers' acceptance and compliance. So more often than not, what happens is they have to do something that is how do you call that, official. They have to put out like an official order in order for people to comply. But the most pervasive changes almost always happens not when people are required to comply, but because they
Hmm.
want to. And so I think that really is affected by the culture of the school. So if the school does not have kind of an open culture of innovation, um, it really becomes a lot harder to implement any
Yeah.
sort of change.
I, I,
Although I've seen schools that have implemented that,
mhm.
primarily because the whole organization is just way too big, that it becomes prohibitively expensive sometimes to create excitement programs. You know how it is, like when you but I've seen it happen that when you can create a program that excites teachers to try out something new, then it really works. But if it's really big, for example, Department of Education, they've got 800,000 people
Mhm.
plus, right? It becomes really difficult to to transform them or to move
Yeah.
towards uh, a
Mhm.
path of transformation. So kailangan talaga ng DepEd order.
Mhm.
You really need a DepEd order to comply
Maybe
there.
another factor also is like don't put all of your eggs into one basket or like just don't rely on one person. You know,
Mm,
especially you need to get a person whom the faculty trusts and
yeah.
also who has a reputation of actually working with a lot of people quite well. That person has to take on not just the role of leading the program, but also take on a consultative role, like bridging the gap, like understanding. So, in your department, what do you need? What are the challenges? How can we address that? Instead
Mm,
of just banking on like the context of other schools, they need
right.
to understand also what's our current context. What would be what would make transitioning to an online program effective given that this is what we believe in, and you can't just put a one size fits all or in your in or like a general order saying that starting this school year these are the only platforms that we're using, but then
Mhm.
you have groups of teachers who are like, but wait, we're already looking at this platform that's free that works for us, and
Yeah.
we'd love to try it out, but because there's this general order, we're suddenly, I thought there's going to be this consultation. I thought we were going to have a conversation about so many things, and it's something that needs to happen.
Yeah.
Plus, I guess another factor is that let's not focus so much on building an online program, because COVID is not going to be here forever, and so that online program isn't also going to be here forever. So you have to look at after COVID, what practices can we bring or what tools can we continue to use that were effective in the past, during,
Mhm.
and after. So,
I really feel that COVID has affected the way we're going to be do things afterwards. Although I do know that at the beginning of almost the beginning of the year, when the whole pandemic started, and teachers were kind of forced to transition to online learning right away, there were some schools that were already on a platform that allows them to do this. Those that have been on G Suite for Education, those that have
So
been on Office 365 even, they have,
manage
since they
back.
have, yeah, managed back. So those that have been transitioning the last years into um, technology were able to actually meet the demand of online learning. However, uh, after that, we heard that a lot of teachers were saying, "Oh, I can't wait to go back to face-to-face teaching and do things the way I used to do it." And the way that, this is the way we've always done it is the most dangerous statement ever.
Mhm.
So I think, again, fear, right? It's fear for me that affects it the most in an organization, in a school. Fear of trying something new, fear of, is this gonna last forever, kind of thing. Is this
On
is my
on
life
my
now?
end, it's also another factor is hubris. Like
Yeah,
I guess for some people they just want that acclamation that or that proclamation that you did a really good job, but then at the cost of burning out the people below you or these or burning bridges as well. So that's something that could affect. We're not go. This is not the time really to have to gain accolades at the expense of others, but really it's a time for you to work hand in hand and
yeah,
address that mindset that we've been doing this for years and this isn't anything different. But no, this is something different, and but we have to understand that there are changes that need to be made.
that is true. So many were thinking, okay, I'm going to transition to online. That means I just need a video conferencing tool, and then
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to teach as if I'm in class.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, that's the reason why next week we're going to be discussing lesson design for online
Ooh.
learning, because there are things that you're going to have to change. And I think that more and more teachers are starting to realize that here in the Philippines, since the start of the school year is October 5th, and that's in the public school system at least, and most of them are going to go modular. They may be thinking, okay, how do we handle this? So I'd really like to get more insight next week on public school teachers, and I hope that we can invite a public school teacher as well in the live stream next week. Definitely, guys, if you know a public school teacher that would like to join us for next week's chat, please recommend so that
Yeah.
we can send him or her an invite to join us next week, because
Mm-hmm.
next week is about lesson design for online learning. So definitely, that's going to be quite relevant, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my fourth question here is about encouraging agency in our teachers, so that they're able to manage drastic changes. So how do you
Mm-hmm.
encourage agency? Like in your case, Laffy, like you've been coaching and you've been teaching tech to a lot of
Mm-hmm.
your teachers in your school and other teachers also in other schools. So how do you encourage them to try things out?
Well, I usually a lot of teachers are really it's either yeah you come across two types of teachers: the teacher who has already done this and it's like, I don't need to know this, and then
Mhm.
there's the other type of teacher who's like, I've heard of it but I don't exactly know what to expect. So what I've really done is, for the expert teachers, I know that you know this, but I'm going to show you something a little bit extra here so that you can take away something. And I love it when I did a training a few weeks ago, and I showed some of the teachers, okay, this is how you use G Suite or Google Docs. These are some of the extra features. And the comment box just literally blew up and they said, oh my God, I did not know that there were these features in that.
Exactly.
And I loved it because it was so, it was finally, they said, oh my God, the implications of this in learning is so big that
Yeah,
it's actually better than the tool that I was using.
that's
And
good.
then now that they've seen it, it's they come up to me telling, you know what, I've been able to monitor my students. I've been able to like for Google Docs, when you showed us how to use the explore button and how you can make in-text citations, that was just really amazing. And now my students don't have a hard time citing
Yeah,
information in our research classes. And
that's
then we
true.
come to the teacher who's hesitant and everything, and it is tell them, this is nothing new. Look at the face. It's so familiar. It's friendly. You have all of the features that you have here. Now let me demonstrate how you can use it. And so I just go through the motions of explaining everything bit by bit, and then suddenly they're like, okay.
Mhm.
What about saving, or what about importing files? And I would tell them, okay, here's some things. Then why don't you
Yeah.
try it out on your side? And it's a empowering moment for teachers when they have those ahas and, oh,
Mhm.
I see that it's not so different. It's not so challenging.
That's
And
right.
then that's the beauty of it. That
Mhm.
it gets them to think about, oh, okay, if this platform is really so open, I
Mhm.
think then I could try exploring other platforms as well. And then I love it when they start messaging me, look, oh, have you tried this extension, or have you tried this application? And I tell them, no, I haven't tried it, so I'm going to give it a shot, which
Yeah.
I enjoy telling them.
It's nice that when they start exploring, but
Mhm.
I think for me, I like that being able to demonstrate things is great for teachers, especially for things that they currently don't know. But I like encouraging agency by asking them about a problem that they want to solve, you know,
Mhm. Mhm.
that they've been trying to figure out for quite a while, or even a process that they're currently doing. I like asking
Mhm.
them, this is how I'm doing this process right now,
Yeah. Mhm.
and helping them to figure out, okay, this could streamline that process.
Yeah.
And using a technology that you're already using. The thing here is that some of these teachers are already aware of that tech. It's just that they don't
Mhm.
know how to use it to solve the problem that they currently have. So I like being able to encourage those questions so that we can get on to applying it towards their work, in their lessons, in their classrooms. Because without that application, it's all like for nothing, right?
Mhm.
And one thing that I noticed though about questions, and this is something I learned before in business
Mhm.
intelligence, is that when you show somebody that something is possible, then it opens up a whole world of questions for them on what else is possible.
Yep.
So if it can do this, can it do this thing? And like becomes it opens a whole world of what is possible for them.
Mhm.
And this I learned while demonstrating to somebody, this is how you can do reports better, and
Mhm.
this is how you can get data out of your information. Oh no,
Mhm.
sorry, information out of your data, and answer your questions based on the data that you already have. They go, if that's possible, can we? And then they start asking these questions and giving me more problems. And you know
Mhm.
me, I like
Yeah.
getting
You love problems.
I love problems. I like it when people give me those,
Yeah.
problems. I like it when I get questions as well that
Mhm.
I can
I used to
answer.
hate the Q&A part, especially in the coaching, when it's like tech training. I really hated that in the past because, oh no, am I able to answer this? But then now it's that I'm really using different tools explicitly and being conscious of what I'm doing. I can honestly say that, oh, I think I would do this. I'd follow you. Like, this is what I'm currently doing, and I
Mhm.
think these are some of the tools that have been effective. I don't know if it will work for you, but you can try it out. And then they come up with, oh, I saw that you use this extension, but this extension is actually better, because then they list all of the reasons. And I'm like, oh, okay. Then at least there's something that improved my workflow and made their work even better.
I also like that you are a proponent of inquiry learning. So
Yes.
for those people who don't know, everybody, like Alphonsus actually authored a book around that. You know what? I
Yep.
still haven't put that up into the gtech.guru website. I should do that very soon. So if you if you would like to go ahead and purchase Alphonsus' book, just
It's
wait
on
till next.
Teachers Pay Teachers also.
Yeah, it's also on TPT, right? So
Mhm.
we are also posting that in gtech.guru just in case you want to pay using, you know, normal Philippine
Philippine peso.
methods.
Yeah.
Philippine methods like Gcash and stuff like that because
Hmm.
that's something that we accept. So
Yep.
just watch out for that. Maybe you can promote that also later, Laffy, so
Yeah.
that
Let's
so
we
that
can.
people can get a hold of that book. So that really is all about encouraging questions as well from your students, getting them to be more inquisitive, to look at the
Hmm.
world in a more inquisitive way, and to start asking these questions. Don't be afraid of the questions.
Hmm.
Okay, so let's take a look at my last question here.
Q5.
We get to our bonus. What can stakeholders do better to support the needs of teachers in a time of transition? Oh no.
What stakeholders are we talking? Are we talking about the admin, the
Oh, no.
parents,
It could be
or
it could be anyone. Like for example, right now stakeholders would probably mean the
I'm
school.
beginning to wonder if this Twitter chat is an interview about me.
This was inspired by you. So
Well, I have a lot of feelings. A lot of feelings.
so what do you think stakeholders could do better to
Mhm.
support teachers' needs at the moment?
At the
What do you
moment. So what do we
this is
need?
short
What
term.
do
So I want
I,
to think about your short term support or your long term support. Like short term support, what can they do now? And then long term support, what can they do throughout the school year?
Whew. Well, I'm actually in a bit of an awkward situation since I'm a teacher and a coordinator at the same time. So I'm middle management and I'm in the trenches as well. So it's as an admin, what do I want? Or as a manager, what do I want? And then as a teacher, what do I want from my manager? So that's me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess really well for parents, it's just to give us more patience. We did receive a lot of concerns about how we're using so many platforms, which is odd since these are the same platforms that we've been using since time immemorial, and we didn't really rock the boat. But I wish that for parents, it's and especially for those in the public sector, is that to be patient. This
Yeah.
is we're all learning something. If you're learning, your teachers are also learning at the same time. It's this was not taught in teacher school on how
Mhm.
to do this for the next 9 hours. But
Mhm.
um, yeah, just be patient. Talk to us if you need help. The school is really a community, and we need
Yeah.
your support. And likewise, we can also give you that support because we know that the parents are also in that awkward position of having to juggle work and also having to make sure that their kids are engaged in an online program. I guess for management, for top management, is that please listen to your teachers. That's we're don't think that just because we're raising concerns, it's good. It's good. You should consider it as a complaint or say that we are ranting. We are ranting, but we're ranting because there is a
Needs
problem
to be
that
done.
hasn't been
Yeah.
addressed,
Yeah.
and we're not out to criticize the leadership or the school, but we just want to inform you, we want you to hear our side. So don't be so defensive with your policies, but listen to it with an open heart and an open mind, I guess. Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. Start not being defensive because usually when you become defensive, your walls just pull up and
Yep.
listening, and that's really one of the things. The other thing is also open the communication channels,
Mm-hmm.
open it in a
Yeah.
way that does not threaten both
Mm-hmm.
parties, because
Yeah.
if I think it's also threatening to some people to accept complaints and to hear the complaints,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
to kind of move from the complaint or the gripe, to move from the gripe onwards towards the solution. It's kind of a, for some people it's a little difficult to actually move them from gripe to solution. That's why design thinking.
Mm-hmm.
So Laffy, maybe you can introduce like more
Design
design
thinking.
growth
Yeah.
mindset, more design thinking
Mm-hmm.
mindset, because
Mm-hmm.
design thinking was designed for
To
problem
address
solving.
these, yeah, to
Yeah, to
address these
address right.
problems. It's
Exactly.
and to make sure that there's something. Yeah, I'd really love to do that, and I'd love to spend time more with top management to 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 flesh out all of these ideas. And really now is not the time for everybody to be communicating into a vacuum.
Yeah.
Communication is even harder now, but hello, the tools are there, so there really
Yeah.
shouldn't be any reason why there's going to be that breakdown in communication.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, I guess also to add, like for stake for the management to also reevaluate some of their policies right now, like
Mm-hmm.
is it really necessary to do or to implement certain things that
Right.
at the cost of teacher health and or even the health of other people. Safety first before anything else.
Mhm.
There are things that you can just leave until everything has calmed down, there's no
Yeah.
more pandemic, and we can go back to just focusing on on the important ones or those that are needed at the moment.
That's right.
Oh,
I have an
yeah,
answer here.
Fabrian.
So for her, it's top management slowly push curated and pre-selected tools as a requirement, and then standardize weekly newsletter for teachers with homework or leading towards a certification.
Mm-hmm,
Right, with that emoji. It's not Fab
mm-hmm.
without emoji, right? Hi Fab. Thank you for watching. And yes, start a weekly thing. Like I said, try to stretch it
Mm-hmm.
throughout the year, and a weekly tip or a weekly thing that they can try out that would really help out, and also maybe a program again to address
Mm-hmm.
teacher well-being, because that
Yeah,
is
I'm
one
trying
of
to
the
get my teachers to do a Google Certified Educator one, especially the ones that I coach. I hope. So I really need to talk to those teachers soon that I
yeah.
trained a few months back and see if I can get GTech to you know sponsor some vouchers along the way.
Yes, yes, yeah, definitely. I really would like more people to just go and give it a
Yeah.
go, because
Hmm.
hi Miss Eileen, thank you so much for watching.
Hello.
Miss Eileen is from Obi Montessori.
Oh,
So
hi, Miss Eileen.
yeah, we recently reconnected. She was actually looking for me because of certain questions that she had.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you so much for watching for today. I just have this one last thing in here before we end our broadcast. So, what are your app recommendations for giving feedback? And I think we kind of discussed apps and extensions last week,
Yeah.
but those people who missed that episode, I'm putting in an app recommendation here. So, what are your app recommendations for giving feedback?
Pear Deck. I wasn't in the extension chat last week, but Pear
Yeah.
Deck.
Yeah,
Pear
pair deck.
Deck is the best because not only can you do it on instructor pace and also in student pace, but as students are working, you can see
Mm,
the responses and then you can already give immediate feedback. Could be
yeah,
as simple as a good job or as challenging as can you expound on this a little further. So I love that it
and
has that
activity.
interactive. Yeah,
Yeah,
that that's really helpful for the students. Plus, you get
yeah,
to star comments and also the responses, which affirms what they're doing
that's right.
in a not so competitive way because students don't see that you are starring the other classmates' response. So
That's true.
um
I like how anonymous, like when you show the responses of the class,
mhm.
that the responses are actually anonymous, and
Yeah,
that encourages the students to actually answer because okay, the class is not gonna see it was me if I get it wrong. So
exactly.
it's all right. And besides, guys, it's all right to get it wrong. I mean,
Yep.
teachers get it wrong all the time.
Believe
And
me, there are a lot of I've committed a lot of factual mistakes in history over the past few years, but it's something I learned and something we all learn.
yeah, that's right. For me, one app recommendation I have, like the first one would definitely be start using private commenting and the comment bank on Google
Oh yeah.
Classroom. Because if you're kind of not feeling that you have to type in every single feedback in Google Classroom, start using the comment bank. So the comment bank in Google Classroom appears whenever you're grading student work, and the comment bank is a place where you can save all of your common comments, especially when your comment includes a link,
Mm-hmm.
etc., or a resource that you would like your students to go. Then it might be better for you to put it in a comment bank. Also, private commenting because it's more personalized.
Mm-hmm.
Start getting used to like private commenting. One of the things that I like about Google Classroom is that it does have many avenues for providing feedback, either feedback to the entire class, um, feedback of one student to the next so that they can check each other's work, and also feedback from the teacher to the student personally for private commenting. The other thing is talk and comment.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes if you're like me, I don't like to type things and I'd like to talk instead, so you can install an extension called talk and comment, and it allows you
Mm-hmm.
to embed voice comments into your slides, into your forms, into the stuff that you're grading. It's really really
Mm-hmm.
useful. For other teachers, they actually like Mote. That's Mote.
Mm,
So
I
Mote
haven't
is,
heard of that.
yeah, Mote is a really good tool as well. When
Mm-hmm.
you said Pear Deck though, Pear Deck is great as well as there are two schools here, Pear Deck versus Nearpod. So
I
like
haven't used Nearpod yet.
yeah, I
I'm
think there are a lot more stuff that you can do in Nearpod that you can do
mm-hmm.
in Pear Deck, but I like the simplicity of Pear Deck. But you should try Nearpod as well. If you
Thank
love Pear Deck, give Nearpod a go.
yeah.
Okay,
It's
so
also another it's another nice. I just realized it also. Like another way of giving good feedback is Google Forms. You give out little quizzes and then you set the form into quiz, and then if you have like your short answers or setting up the answer key, you can like put there if it's the correct answer, you can already give feedback like the generic good job and or a little explanation. Then if the students don't get it correctly, you can like link in a YouTube video so that, oh,
yeah.
you got this incorrectly, so why don't you review it a little bit more.
Yeah, I like that whole correct and incorrect feedback for auto grading in Google Forms. So for you teachers, if you have not tried the auto grading feature of Google Forms, give it a go because it's really going to make your life so much easier to
Yep.
put in. The work is going to be in making the quiz, and I think I made a video about that just a few weeks ago on creating a test bank on Google Forms. So you can create a full test bank on Google Forms, put in the answer key as well, put in your correct and incorrect feedback,
Yep.
feedback for correct answers and feedback for incorrect answers, and then use that to pull questions from when you're making your small pop quizzes. So in case you
Mm-hmm.
need a full on test bank. Like people are asking me about that before, like Mary, it's not able to import questions. Well, it is able to
It
do
can
that.
now.
Can now able like everybody who tells me like Mary, Google cannot do this or G Suite cannot do this. I keep telling them just wait,
Yeah,
come from the
they
question.
roll out features very quickly, and I was just telling my wife a few days ago that G Suite is really amazing. I remember using it back in 2012, And back in 2012, it was already a game changer. But then
Mhm.
now, when you compare it then to now, it's so much better. Especially Google Sheets. I hated Google Sheets before, but now
Yeah.
it's like, oh, I can do so many things with
Yeah.
Google Sheets. Plus, when you start integrating all of these other applications, it becomes this amazing platform for
Right.
sending out information and gathering data.
Yeah, so in the interest of our topic today, which is managing change, another thing that you're going to need to understand about change management is getting data
Hmm.
from whatever activities you have, because
Yeah,
you need to know.
unbiased data.
Yeah, unbiased data. You need to have a metric, right? And basically, what you need to do is to know where you started and then where you're currently at and what you still need to improve. And
Yeah.
you cannot do that without proper data. So for the G Suite admins out there, make use of your reports in your admin console, because that would allow you to see how many people have actually been adopting certain applications within your admin
Yeah.
console. So how many people have been using docs, sites, sheets, and slides. And that's a really good thing to use, because it gives you a really good view of adoption inside your school, especially if your change management is about adoption. Then yeah, it gives you a good view. And if you feel that the reports are just too much because it exports in a Google Sheet, doesn't give you visual data, use something called Google Data Studio, and it has
Oh.
amazing dashboard functionality. If you're a dashboard fan like me, Data Studio is going to visualize your numbers. And when discussing things with stakeholders, with management, with admin, and presenting numbers to your um, management, it's always better to visualize. Don't
Mhm.
give them like too many numbers. Give them something that they can already consume within 5 to 10 minutes, because they don't have much time. So visualizing that data through Data Studio, and Data Studio, guys, is free. So check it out. It's a great visualization tool. If you love dashboards, you can create multiple graphs into one place and even embed that entire thing inside Google Sites. And it will be updating based on the spreadsheet that it is sourced from. All right. I think Laffy just got bumped off, but I'm going to push him back in a few. So for now, I just would like to there. Let me add you back.
Yeah.
Did you just leave the studio?
No, something went wrong with my internet connection just for a couple of seconds. Mhm.
So yeah, so I'd like to thank everybody who joined us for today. Thank you again for joining,
Thank you,
and
everyone.
also for next week, we've got online lesson design. That's gonna be
Yep,
on
that's
September
going to be
20.
interesting.
It will be interesting. So again, if you would like to join the show, let us know. Send me a message at gtech.guru, or send me a message at my Facebook as well, or Twitter, if you would like to be part of our live stream. We do welcome people here as well. All right. So with that, thank you so much and enjoy your weekend, everybody. Thanks for joining us for today. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Have a happy weekend.